Sensei Alex Kakuyo, North American Correspondent for Buddhistdoor Global. Thanks for joining me for this episode of The Ordinary Buddhist. The title of today's talk is Ignore the Schedule. Before we get into that, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified when I post talks in the future. If you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, that'd be great too. In Buddhism, an important tool we have in our spiritual training is the Buddhist meditation retreat. During this time, we isolate ourselves from the world and focus 100% on our training. So we're either alone or with a group of other dedicated practitioners, and we do two things to focus in on the Dharma. First, we eliminate all distractions. We don't use our cell phones, we don't watch TV or access the internet. We don't speak to one another. In fact, when I did meditation retreats with my Zen teacher, Venerable Shi Ying Fa, we weren't even allowed to make eye contact with other students because information could be passed via facial expressions. Was this a little intense? Maybe, but it did pay off dividends in the training. In addition to that, the second thing we do to help ourselves on the way is we have a strict schedule. We wake up at a certain time, we sleep at a certain time, we chant, meditate, and prostrate in front of the altar at a certain time. This set schedule, along with the lack of distractions, allows us to dive headfirst into the Dharma, into our Buddhist practice. Now, one might think that after doing a Buddhist meditation retreat, it would be easy to carry on this momentum into our daily lives, but the opposite is often true. When we go back home, we are flooded with all of the distractions we left behind. The friends, the family, the job, the TV. In addition to that, it can be harder to stick to a schedule. Now, one thing that people often do is they try to work their Buddhist practice into their daily schedules. So they might say, for example, that at 3 p.m. every day, I will sit on my cushion for 30 minutes. And this is a wonderful idea, but what happens when we look at our watch and it's 3:05? It's 3:30. What happens if we go to sit on the cushion and suddenly the phone rings, or we realize we forgot to wash the dishes? What usually happens is we put off our training till the next day. And then it goes off till the next day, and the next day, and before we know it, we've gone a week, maybe even a month without sitting on our cushion, without chanting, without prostrating, without paying homage to the Buddha. To get around this, it can be helpful to ignore the schedule, throw it out. Yes, we set a time each day for our practice, but if we miss that time, well, we just sneak it in as soon as we have a free moment. So if it's 3 o'clock and I was supposed to sit in meditation at 2 p.m., I don't wait until 2 p.m. the next day to sit in meditation. I go to my cushion right then. I ignore the schedule, I ignore the distractions, and I prioritize my Buddhist training. When I do this, when I throw out the schedule when it's necessary, I'm able to train whenever it's possible, and thus I don't miss a day. And this is important because consistency is the most important part of Buddhist practice. It's much better to sit for 5 minutes every day than to sit for 1 hour once a month, because the practice is accumulative. As we practice consistently, our mind slowly accumulates the changes, and our brains become cleansed of greed, anger, and ignorance. So don't be afraid to ignore the schedule and sit on the cushion whenever you find the time. Amitabha.